the introduction of what this new variant is, why should we be so worried about, and where are we heading as a world? Because now I remember you always talked about Vasudeva Kutumbakam. We are one family as a world, and where do we head with this new variant? Up to you, sir, Professor Joshi.
The science of the virus. So in the first 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about the Omicron, the science of this virus, and then Dr. Pandit is going to calm all of us down. So Omicron is nothing but a new variant of the same SARS-CoV-2 virus. So the first virus, when it came from the Wuhan province of China. And we all know now that there was a Wuhan Institute of Virology. A lot of experimentation was done there. Possibilities, there was an accidental spillover. And this is being investigated by the World Health Organization. There was a special committee to investigate this. And then from there, it spread across planet Earth. We all know that it's a RNA virus. It has bats as its reservoir. And there was a intermediate host like a pangolin where it jumped. Then, there were, this all happened in the November and December months of 2019. And that is why it got a nomenclature of SARS-CoV-2 with COVID-19. And COVID is a disease and the SARS-CoV-2 is the virus. And the whole 2020, we were, invaded by this virus. And somewhere in September of 2020, there was genomic analysis being done in two countries. One was South Africa that time, and second was United Kingdom. And from the Kent County of United Kingdom, they discovered that there was an unusual strain, and that later on went on to become the so-called alpha strain. And that same time, the South African Genomic Sequencing Lab, which is in KwaZulu-Natal, one of the biggest biologists and genomic scientists, was able to discover the South African strain then, or the African strain it is called, that went on to be nomenclatured as beta strain. And around the same time, probably the Delta was being born in some parts of Maharashtra. But we have no clue what was happening because we didn't have data, we didn't have genomic sequences. We don't know how it occurred, why it occurred. And around the same time, we had this whole Manus province in Brazil, which had more than 80% herd immunity, because 80% of the population had COVID, but still there was another variant which came in, and that went on to become the Gamma strain. And eventually, that we know that somewhere in February, we were able to pick up the Delta strain, and Delta invaded the world. So whether it was Alpha, whether it was Beta, whether it was Gamma, it was replacing. And currently, in the last 6 months, the most dominant strain on planet Earth in COVID is the Delta strain. So what happened in South Africa, Botswana, and some neighboring countries is very unique. In the last 2 weeks, in a span of 10 days, the whole strain of the Beta, which was replaced by Delta in South Africa, the whole Delta got replaced by the B1.1.529 variant. And this variant has more than 30 mutations on the spike protein, more than 10 mutations on the ACE receptor protein. And compared to that, Beta variant had only 3 mutations, Delta had only 2. And this is all from specimens collected between 11 November and 23rd November from Botswana, South Africa, and Hong Kong. So obviously, this strain, what do we know? In South Africa, there is community spread, and Botswana. In South Africa, the transmissibility is probably more. Rest of the world, we don't know. Its impact on immunity, possibly more, but again, data is emerging. Impact on severity, data is emerging, but we don't know. And transmission, we know it's airborne droplet, but currently it is sporadic and travel related. So that is the core of that whole strain. And this virus, suddenly we don't know how it came, whether it was constantly there in a chronically infected individual, just like we had, or whether was it from a country, coming from a country like Botswana, which had a poor genomic surveillance. We don't know. But it's 21K. So we know that, 201 or 20I is alpha V1, the 20J is gamma V3, and 20K is nicknamed the Omicron. And the main thing which when people were doing the genome frequencing analysis, the S gene was failed. There was a S gene target failure, and in most provinces suddenly they saw, because in the South Africa, in their National Health Laboratory Service, it is called as NHLS, and Leslie Scott leads that team there. And Leslie told them that all the TACPAC assay which they use, the S gene was being deleted, and they saw that from the province of Gauteng, the samples collected between 12th and 20th of November, all the 77 samples had the HGTF, H gene target failure. That means the H gene was deleted. Normal coronavirus has N gene, the E gene, the S gene, the ORF gene, and all the 77 out of 77 samples from the Gauteng province from 12th to 20th of November. It's very recent. Today is just the 30th of November. So just 10 days back, all the samples had H gene deletion. And whatever now hundreds of samples which are being collected by the National Government Service of South African Labs, and the results which will all be available and getting sequenced, all of them are showing this H gene deletion. And this H gene deletion was synchronized with a very high CT value. So the CT value was also very high, and this had all these mutations. So fundamentally what happened, that the entire Delta got wiped out, and we had birth of the Omicron. And Omicron replaced it. So on the 26th of November, this Friday, today is Tuesday, 30th of November, just 4 days back, the Technical Advisory Group on SARS-CoV-2 for Virus Evolution of the WHO, this is called as TAG-VE, is an independent group of experts which periodically monitors and evaluates for evolution of the SARS virus, for mutations, virus behavior. And in a single day, they were so stumped with the results that they said that this is a variant of concern. The reason is because this is 500% more competitively infectious and probably twofold worse bad mutations on the spike than data. So normally the Wuhan strain had a viral competitive advantage of 30%. The Delta strain is around 70%. And the newborn Omicron strain is 500%. So obviously the only thing which we know today is it is rapidly spreading in South Africa. And compared to beta or delta, it is rapidly outpacing these strains. So that is very clear. There are mutations on the spike protein like RBD, receptor binding domain, NTD, N-terminal domain, which are resistant to neutralizing antibodies and therapeutic monoclonal antibodies. How that will shape up in patients, we don't know. Then also there are mutations, cluster of mutations or constellation of mutations on the S1, S2 furin cleavage site, which will cause enhanced cell entry and enhanced transmissibility. Again, how it will pan up in transmissibility? Probably yes. In South Africa, it is definitely showing more transmission because their numbers have gone up. Their test positivity rate from 1% has climbed up to 30% in Gauteng province. And the country test positivity rate has crossed 10% now. And then there is a NSP6 deletion, which was also seen in alpha, beta, gamma, and lambda, not seen in delta, which is basically antagonizing the interferon and evades the innate immunity. So this made it more transmissible. And the other big thing which needs to be confirmed in human beings is it has a special mutation on the nucleocapsid, which is R203K and G204R, and that increases the infectivity. So that is something which is very clear. But the real worry is that it may be resistant to all the medications we know. It is super transmissible. Its R0 probably is more than chickenpox. It has replaced Delta. Its transmissibility is more. But whether immune escape can occur or not, we don't know. Whether it will cause severe disease or virulence, we don't know. Early trends from Dr. Andrea Kotzes, she's our friend from South Africa, and Dr. Rahul Pandit has given a plenary oration at our Commonwealth Association. I also spoke on the same Omicron virus that day. She shared with us. She's the chairwoman of the South Africa Medical Association, and Professor Akhtar Hussain also is a member of the South African Medical Association. They shared that the disease they are seeing right now is in young population between 20 and 40, mild disease, mainly with fatigue, with sore throat, scratchy throat, etc. So she says there is no need to panic, but the hospital admissions are going up. So there is a threefold increase in hospital admissions, but no increase in the ICU admissions, which is very reassuring for a person like Dr. Rahul Pandit. And the other thing is there is a 20-fold increase in oxygen requirement. So the next 2 to 4 weeks are crucial to see whether this virus may be spreading faster, but maybe less lethal, less fatal, or maybe evolutionary because the viral load is high and S gene is mutated and deleted. Is it going to be more hurtful and harmful? And will it bypass medicines or vaccine? These are unanswered questions. So we really don't have data on that front. So this was my initial introduction. I know it was a little long introduction on this whole gamut of Omicron. But now we are going to learn from Dr. Rahul Pandit. Knowing this whole South African story, and of course, this story got highlighted because a patient from Hong Kong traveled on 22nd October to South Africa. And on 11th of November, traveled back from South Africa to Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a 21-day quarantine. On 13th of November, he tested positive. So, Dr. Pandit, whatever you have learned and heard from the South Africa,